UK and you are thinking you will never own a house here in the UK, and you are wondering what housing in UK actually how it goes. Today, this video is for you. Today we are sitting with a qualified mortgage advisor who knows what we migrants in the UK, what we actually need, how we need to move up the ladder of getting ourselves a home in the UK. He's here to unravel all the confusion that is in our heads as immigrants when it comes to having our own houses. This morning, I'm in with Mr. Richard. Please, can you introduce yourself to my audience, please?
Hello, yes. So my name's Richard Cox. I specialize in visa applications, and we do them here all the time. So just so you know a little bit about me, been doing financial services the last 20 years. It's what I do. I don't just have the basic qualifications or the advanced versions. I've got the equivalent of a master's. So if it's possible to help, we are always here for you.
Thank you. Thanks to hear that. Just to start now with the big question, the big one now. Can someone who is not a British citizen actually get a mortgage in the UK? Now, what do you think? And what is the first things lenders want to see?
Absolutely, it's possible. There's no issue with that at all. The first thing they want to see is that you're here, you're established, and you're doing well. And part of that is your visa. And I think we'll talk about a bit later exactly the parameters that make it possible. But the main thing is they want to see you're settled, see you've got an income, and see that you're aspirational enough to want to get a house and get on that ladder.
Oh, thanks for that. Talking about visa, what visa type are considered by mortgage lenders, and the idea visa that make it almost impossible to get approved?
There's very few visas if you're legally here to stay, there's very few visas we can't deal with. However, having a tier 2 or skilled worker visa is the best type to have. So if you are lucky enough to be a couple both on a tier 2 visa, then that gives you more options than if just one of you is on a tier 2 visa and one is on a family visa. But even then, there are still lots of lenders that are happy to help. So the key
So,
thing there is to have a visa. If it's a refugee visa, we can use those. It's really more about being legally here. And most importantly, to how long you've been here for. Because what they really want to see is that the absolute minimum is 2 years, but after 3 years, you get more choice. So it's more about how established you are than actually the visa type, although that can have an impact.
oh, nice. But just to ask, I had a friend who was a dependent
Mhm.
to a student. He was a
Yes.
dependent to a student. At that time, they had not gotten skilled visa. But he told me
Yeah.
there was a way he could get a mortgage even without being on the skilled part. How did that happen?
Yeah.
If
So it is possible, even with a student visa, to get, but once again, it's more about how long you've been here for than the visa type. So there are mortgage companies that will be flexible and will want to help you find your home. There are times when that will require a slightly larger deposit, but the minimum is 5%. But if you can get 10 to 15% or even more, sometimes that will help. But the main thing is always to think, have I been here 2 years? Have
yeah,
I got a deposit over 5%? Because you have to save up money to buy a house because you need that initial amount you put in, which allows lenders to lend to you. Because if anything ever happened, they need to know that you've got a vested interest to being there and being part of the community for a long time.
yeah, that's good anyway. What I've experienced now, just with you dealing with you over mortgage issue now, I've realized that the higher the deposit you drop, the lower the
Mhm.
interest. How true is that?
That is absolutely correct. So effectively, there's bands at which your rate changes depending how much deposit you put in. So at 5%, you pay a little bit more. So
Yeah.
if you're buying £100,000 house, just for ease of maths, if you put 5,000 in, that will give you a certain rate. If you then put £7,000 in, you'd still be on that same rate, because it's
Yeah.
only when it goes to 10% does the rate drop again. And then it
Yeah.
drops again at 15% and then at 25. So there's a sliding scale of how cheap your mortgage is based on how much deposit you're putting in, because it reduces the risk to the lender and makes it more possible.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And we talk to us about deposit.
Mhm.
Do migrants need to put down more deposit than British citizens? Uh,
Not at all. You can literally put in the same minimum deposit of 5% as any other person. There are a couple of schemes which, when you have indefinite leave to remain, will allow you to put in less than 5% deposit, but they
Oh,
are in the incredibly small minority. So you're not being harmed at all in how much you can put in as a deposit by the visa and the fact that things are slightly different. Does restrict your choice of lender slightly, but there's always someone to be supported.
oh, I see. Okay. What about credit history? A lot of migrants arrive in the UK with zero credit history. Does that kill the chances of getting straight into it?
Well, Dan, there's things you can do to help your credit history. So without a credit history at all, you may well be able to get a mortgage. If you can demonstrate you've been in a property, you're on the voters roll for the local elections and those type of things, they all help with credit score. So it's not impossible without a credit history. But if you start building up a track record when you first come to the country of having a credit card, even if you don't use it, and don't run up credit card bills, that's the worst thing you can do. But
Yeah.
by having a credit card a couple of years out from when you'll want a mortgage, it's going to start building up that history and that track record in the UK, which will help you get the mortgage. But
Oh,
do not try and do this just before you're looking to apply for a mortgage, because it's too late. At that
too late.
point, it's actually a negative thing, because they
Oh.
think you're using the credit cards to pay for the deposit and it
Mm.
actually diminishes your score. So it is better to have no credit than take out credit cards and things just before you want to buy a house, because actually it's making it harder for you. So the advice is, if you're planning, having just moved here for the future, then yes, getting credit cards does help. But as you get closer to the point where you're looking to actually make it happen, then that's when you want to stop using credit cards and put yourself in the best possible shape for getting the mortgage.
Oh, thanks for that. So what you've said now, it means that even if I'm indebted, okay, like I'm owing money in credit, it doesn't hinder me from getting a mortgage. Is that what it is?
It doesn't, as long as you've got sufficient income to justify the
Oh,
amount of borrowing you need. So ideally, by the time you come to go for your property, it would be best to have no debts at all, because it puts you in the absolute best place. So great to have a track record, but when you actually come to do it, it is best to have, sorry about that,
it's all
none
right.
at all. Because if you've got none at all at the time when you take out your mortgage, it will allow you to borrow the most and make it
Oh,
easier for you to get that mortgage. So, although it plays a part in increasing your credit score, the closer you can be to having zero
done.
credit when you actually apply, the better off you'll be.
Oh, nice, nice. Anyway, let's get off the credit side now. Some of us earn multiple currencies or work contracts. How do lenders assess income that isn't a simple UK payslip?
There's lots of flexibility here. With the right company, they will accept lots of different income types. They do want that income, though, to be derived in the UK. So when you're not paying tax, the
Ah,
typical rule is if you're not paying tax in the UK, you can't use that income because they want to see, once again, that you're established, you're doing everything legally, and you're paying into the community and everything around it. So the key thing there is, are you paying tax on your income? If it is an overseas income and you're paying tax on it, then
yeah.
that's fine as well. And it's the same if you're self-employed. That's not a reason not to apply, but you
Mm,
do need 2 years. It's called SA 302s. They're your tax return.
yeah.
We need 2 years of those to evidence that you can afford the mortgage. But genuinely, as far as income goes, as long as you're paying UK tax, it is usable by most lenders.
Oh, nice. Just to say now, for instance, I am a student. For instance, I'm a student and I've got money back in my country, and within 6 months, can I start talking about probably bringing my money in if I pay tax? For instance, I have a business back home, I pay tax back home, and right now I feel like jumping into this ladder of having a mortgage, importing money bring back here. Is it advisable for anyone at all?
You can definitely do that, but it's fair to say the sooner you can bring it to the UK, the better. So it can be shown in a savings account and you're having a track record of building that savings up subsequent to the money coming here. But also, what is advantageous is if you are needing to do this close to the point of you getting the mortgage, to be able to evidence where it's come from, be that evidence of the company that was your company and the account in your originating country,
Yeah,
that will help evidence the fact that this money is from a genuine source. Because the
does.
last thing any solicitor, because this is very much a solicitor's job,
Yeah,
would want to do is to risk that monies had come from illegal enterprises or anything else. They have very strong duties of care to make sure there's no money laundering, no selling illegal substances and products. They just need to make sure it's genuine money that has been earned at some point. So providing evidence from another country is fine, but you do need the evidence if it's near to the point of you using it.